Okay, I believe we're live. Let me just refresh my page and take a look. Welcome, everybody, as you're coming in to Weekend Wind Down with Business Coach Nancy. Today I'm drinking because that's always my first step, Nicole, is to tell everyone what I'm drinking. So today I had to run to the liquor store because I had no wine in the house. And I got, which way are we going here? Simi Russian River Chardonnay. So I'm excited.
Nice.
It's one of my so, I'm excited to talk about this topic. Excuse me. So, let everyone know who you are. And I just want to kind of jump right in because I definitely have existing clients and people in my private group, actionable entrepreneurs, that are going to benefit from this conversation.
Sure. So you want me to introduce myself and
Please
just say
do.
who the heck am I?
Who the
And I
heck?
just killed my chair. Yeah. So my name is Nicole Jansen, and thank you, Nancy, for having me here. I own a coaching business, Discover the Edge. I also have a podcast called Leaders of Transformation and a community that I'm building around that, the Leaders of Transformation community. And I am all about helping entrepreneurs to grow their business and working with startup entrepreneurs that are wanting to get their business started right the first time around rather than having to go back and fix it. Also, business owners that are and entrepreneurs that are stagnant. They get to that point where they just get stuck, maybe get stuck in chaos, and they don't know how to take it to the next level. So I help them to take it to that next level, and we work on sales, profitability, team performance, and then successful entrepreneurs. So startup, stagnant, and those successful entrepreneurs and business owners that say, okay, you know what, I've got a great business. How do we scale it? How do we make a greater impact in the world and get our message out there? So that's who I work with, and I've been doing it for
I was just going
a
to ask,
lot of years.
how many
I
years?
started Discover the Edge in 2005, but I realized at that point when people started asking me to coach them, I realized I was like, oh no, I'm not a coach. I'm not a coach. I don't do that. And what I realized actually in really checking in to what a coach really does, I realized I've been doing it for a long time. So many more years prior to that, doing it more informally, helping entrepreneurs launch a business on the side. Usually it's on the side of their job, and then helping to develop it into a full-time business where it can replace their income. So that transition, the mindset around that, the mental
That's what I
game.
want to focus on today
Yeah.
because there's multiple shifts, right? So there's the shift when you're working full time. Sometimes then you go to part time and you start your
Yes.
side gig, right?
Yes.
And then there's your side gig is really appealing, but you're stuck working for somebody and you're afraid to take that leap
Yes.
into being 100% on your own, especially in
Yeah.
this day and age of healthcare and expenses you've already developed for yourself. And then there's the part where you're, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat today. I should have a sip
Eat
of
some more wine.
wine.
Have some more wine. I love your cup.
Thank you. Yeah, I said it's a mother of the year, right? Because thanks,
That's
mom,
awesome.
greatest mom. You're the best.
Aw,
I won't tell
that
you
is
how many
awesome.
years ago they gave this to me. Now they're young adults, thank God. So, uh, but
Well,
anyway,
it
so that
worked out. You did it well.
it did.
There you go.
They all grew up. They're all growing
They're
up.
alive.
Yeah, unlike any plants that I have in my house. I always said I don't know how my kids are alive. I kill everything else. But anyway, they're all fabulous, so that's good, and all kind of like entrepreneurish minded, kind of,
Yeah.
which is interesting because I think they watched me and their father, have our own businesses,
Yeah.
so it helped them become great leaders, kind of in their own lives, which I love. So taking the leap of faith is what I call it when you're going from having a secure income to a not so secure income in your mind, that fear of jumping. And how do you help people get past that?
Well, first of all, it doesn't have to be a leap of, this high risk leap. I mean, there's different ways to do it. Some people say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of doing what I'm doing. I'm going to quit. And then they put themselves, and they do take that leap, and they put themselves in a position where they have to sink or swim. But there's also, which more than often than not people do, is they start to transition. They start doing something on the side, like you were talking about, to gradually build it up. So here I've got my income over here, my quote unquote stability. Hey, there's Heather. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Heather. And so you've got stability, and then you've got, you've got this other business venture that you're developing on the side. And then when it gets to that point where you've seen some consistency and some stability there, then you can replace your income. Sometimes people, what they do is they save up here so that they have enough to take the leap. And, I wouldn't have less. I mean, you want to have like at least 6 months, but at least 6 months to 24 months. Give yourself time. Some people say 6. It depends on what kind of business you're launching and where you're at over here in terms of making that leap and knowing how much you need. So how can you how can you maintain your lifestyle? How can you take care of business at home, right? And fund your business. So I've had a lot of clients that have done that, where they've had an idea, business idea, and they say, you know what, I want a lot. Recently, actually working with a lady, amazing lady, very dynamic leader, and she was very successful in her job, but she decided, I want to start my own business. And it was going to be an investment. And so I said to her, okay, well, so you've got to make this transition. She's the sole breadwinner in her household, so it's not like she could lean on somebody else, her husband's income or anything. Yeah. And so for her, and she was making a substantial amount of income, so it would take a little while to replace that. And so what I said to her is, I said, do you have extra income? We looked at her finances to see how much extra, and then I said, look, have your job pay for the launch of your business, right? So put some money aside, tighten up the belt a little bit, right? Increase the amount of money that you're saving, right, from your job, and use that to launch your website and build your brand, all those things, which is what she did. So that's a way to do it, so that it's still a leap. You still go, is this going to work?
Right. But yeah. I'm working with someone now I'm actually working with a couple of people who have a part-time or full-time job. And they've also started an interior design business on the side. And because they're working full-time or very high part-time hours, they've created all their base, right? They're ready. Yes. When it comes to their website, their Facebook page, their marketing material, they're ready. But they are not able to have enough time in their day to start marketing themselves enough to bring in a steady enough flow to say, okay, now's the time to switch. So that's why I call it a leap of faith, because once you've set up the whole base, you're ready. Yes. But you need that time factor that you just can't get in your day because you're working crazy retail hours.
Well, what's interesting with that, and you're absolutely right, there is a point where you just don't have enough time to do both, right?
Right.
But even in that point, when you think about when you started your business, sometimes you get those quick wins and it just grows like wildfire right out of the gate. More often than not, you got to do some planting, right? You got to sow seeds. And what I encourage people to do is don't quit your job and then start planting seeds. Plant seeds knowing that it's going to take a little while for those seeds to grow. So case like networking, for example, going out there and doing some outreach, building up your exposure. But yes, there is a point where you look at it and you say, I've got enough coming in, enough opportunities that are now starting to close that it would warrant. And of course, as I said, you've got some money aside. Hopefully you've got some money aside that you can last a certain amount of months or however long, right, to be able to do that. So that brings down the risk, minimizes the risk factor. But that being said, at some point, yes, you still need to pull the trigger. You still need to decide and say, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make this work. So
that's kind of the feet to the fire, right?
Yes.
You've got the whole base laid. You know what to do. Now you just need the time to do it. And that's where either if you were full-time, maybe you go to part-time to gain a little bit more of that time. But in this day and age, the biggest fear for everybody is medical insurance.
Yeah.
Right? How do I leave that security, especially for your client who's the sole wage earner, if she or he has children and all that, that fear. But I mean, I always say to myself, once I have to do something and it's not an option, it's amazing how you find a way to do it.
Yes. And that actually relates to mindset. Because if you have a mindset, I'm a big believer that our results they come from our behaviors and our actions that we take. Certainly we need to do certain things to create an outcome. Absolutely. But what influences our behaviors and our actions, like what you're talking about there, is our mindset.
Right.
What do we believe? What do we believe about ourselves? What do we believe about others? And what do we believe about the world around us? Because if I believe that I'm no good, or that I will never, that I can't sell, or that I'm afraid that I even am worthy, right, of whatever it is, I don't know that I'm an expert in this area, or, I want to do this, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I can have the website put in place. I can have all those things put in place, but it's how I feel about the number one sale you got to make is the one that you make to yourself.
Good.
Right.
Point.
If you're not making that sale to yourself and you jump off, right? Let's say you go, okay, I'm going to jump off the deep end and take that leap of faith. You are, and I know there's been people that have like totally stressed themselves out, and they start to doubt themselves because they don't get quick wins. And then all of the fears, those buried fears about, you know what, I knew this wasn't going to work, or all the things that their family's saying, are you crazy? Why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. So you have to be very careful about who is feeding you with information, who's feeding you with their opinions. So you have to get around people that will support you. I think it's really, really important for entrepreneurs at any stage, but especially in that beginning stage, to get around people that will not just blow smoke, right? But that will tell them the truth.
Right.
Real support, and also encourage them and believe in them. So when, they're going to have times when maybe they're going to have a down day. They're going to be second guessing themselves, and they need to have people around them who are going to say, hey, you know what? You can do this. Just remember your value. It's interesting, actually, I just was thinking about testimonials. A lot of times people look at testimonials as something that is used for marketing purposes for third-party endorsements. And that is true. It's very effective for that. People like seeing what other people are saying about, if I want to work with you, Nancy, it's great that I can see that other people have had success with you. But even more important at this stage is having those testimonials for you to look at and to remind yourself of the impact that you've actually had in other people's lives. That's also why it's important that those testimonials are not just, Nancy's a really great person. It's, you know what, here I was here, and I was doing this and this and this. Here's where my business was at, and now I'm here.
Right.
As a result of working with Nancy, now I'm here. But you can look back and then go, you know what? I do make a difference.
I do. I actually say that in my group. I do little live videos mostly every day. And one of the things I say is, if you're having a down day, guys, it's hard to be a solopreneur. You come back, you get up, you're sitting at your desk, you're like, okay, if you don't have an active client right then and there, that moment in time, and you start to have doubt, I'm like, go back and look at your testimonials and remember what you have done for people in the past, and drive your energy up by calling a supportive person. Heather just said, very timely, many designers' work is drying up for the summer. I've tried to beat into the heads of potential clients to do major projects you want done by the fall or holidays during the summer. Yeah, even when they are on vacation, this way, crickets. It's tough. Sometimes you're throwing out the fishing line, as my ex-husband used to say. So, and other times you're reeling it in, right? But you have to, through these tough times, continue to throw out the fishing line and be present and be consistent, and look at your past testimonials and remind yourself how much you can do for people. And that's your time to create new content. That's your time to put into place new marketing plans. It's the perfect time, right? When you're a little slow, not to say, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, it's summer. Let me go to the beach. That's the time to look back at your value and push yourself through the pain.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because I don't know where this comes from, how we tend to go play ostrich, right? We tend to dive for cover when things happen. I remember one of my clients who was a mortgage broker. He had 65 agents, and this was when I was living in Canada still, and I was working with him. It was 2008. the crash here happened in the US, right? So I met him that next day. And he said to me, we have to start cutting back. And I said, really? And he's like, yeah, we need to contract. We need to do all these things and so forth. And I said, that's interesting. So let me ask you a question. Did your bank account change today? And he said, no. And I said, really? And your agents, right? All these mortgage agents, are they not on straight commission? Like they don't make money unless they do a mortgage, they actually do a deal, right? And he said, yes. And I went, so where do you want to contract? Right? And I said, that's what your competition is doing. Your competition is diving for cover because they're saying the market's crashing. I said, are people still going to do mortgages? Are they still going to need mortgages? He said, yes. So you have a smaller pie, perhaps. The market shrunk, about 30 to 40%. I said, but there's still a pie. And here's what you're going to do is you're not going to contract. You're going to expand.
Dig deeper, right?
And we ended up doing that. He said, okay. So we ended up doing that. And that year, his business grew 10%, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when the market and the industry is dropping by 30 to 40%, growing 10% is pretty significant. Absolutely. And today he has 110 agents. But that's because of a different mindset. It's the same thing with people do it at Christmas time. Well, it's Christmas time. It's December. I'll slow down. We'll do it in January. So you're going to take a 12th of your year and blow it off. Right? It's like summertime. Yes, you want to take holidays and all of this, but and take that time to rest. But the summertime is a great, like you said, is a great opportunity to not contract. It's not to throw in the towel and say, we'll start in September. That's what everybody else is doing. And so if you can actually be doing
to interior designers, like you're teaching them and us, it's something that they can teach their watchers, their listeners, following, right? They could take exactly what you're saying and just flip it around and say, everyone else is taking a break from revamping their house and doing their design work. And then they're going to get stressed around the holidays. So Heather, this is something that you can use.
It's for you. Yes.
Right? Be the different one, expand in the summer, do all the work in the summer and make your holiday season
more pleasurable.
More pleasurable.
Yeah. I have a graphic designer client. He had the same thing he used to always say every time, like when we first started working with him, he said, the summertime, and I hear this from, as I said, business owners across the board, they're like, summertime is slow. People don't want their websites done. They say, call me in September. And I said, now stop and think about that. Your busy time is in September. And in September, now you want to add on doing a website. That's crazy. Why don't we get your website set up in the summertime? And then you're off to the races by September when everybody's coming back to work and getting fully engaged. You got your website put in place. Same thing with interior design. You got your house in order. You're already set up for the fall season. One of the ideas that I had, I've given one of my clients who was an interior designer, I said to her, because she was struggling with the reoccurring revenue of it, how do you keep clients coming back? And I said, look, why don't you do seasonal changes? People have money, they have discretionary money, they want their house to be changed up, or their commercial, their retail space or whatever, they want it changed up for the season. So you can have it all ready to go. And so when the fall season comes, it's just a matter of switching it over rather than when you're there planning it out. And it's the same thing in the springtime. We're human beings, we are very good procrastinators. We're like, oh, when the kids get out of school. Okay, when the kids go back to school. Okay, after the holidays. Okay, seriously. And so you can actually use that. And that's what with my web designer client, he actually did more business and was busier in the summertime because I said, look, you have the time now, right? For his clients, he'd say, look, we have the time. Let's utilize this time effectively. And then you'll be ready for that fall season. You want to sell your products online? Let's get your website up and running, and you'll be ready to go.
Right. If you're a doer and you're an action taker, don't take the summer break like everybody else does. This is the time to nose to the grind and to point out to your potential clientele how much progress they can make while everyone else is on the beach, right?
Flip it. It's an advantage. Say, oh, this is perfect. When they go, oh, it's the summertime, you go, oh my gosh, it's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
It's the perfect time. And depending on where you live, it is the perfect time because it's also not snowing and it's also not, raining and all those things, right? So you've got a lot less factors in the summertime, depending on where you live. But it's also, here's another piece. And I know that when you and I were talking before and planning to do this, we were going to talk about a little bit of the cash flow quadrant. Another element of this is using the summertime to work on your business, and you should be doing that all throughout the year, is working on your business, not just in your business. Don't wait for those busy seasons to go, oh my gosh, now I need to figure out how to, like you said, develop new content, develop new programs, new services, new processes, get things caught up and prepared.
Right. Get your welcome packages done. Figure out your consult. Figure out your process in your office with your staff if you have. Figure out where you're a well-oiled machine. Now's the time, and market the crap out of yourself. This is right.
Yes. And if everybody else is on holidays and all the other interior designers are saying, you know what, I'll come back in September, like with my mortgage broker, perfect. We'll be marketing and people are going to see us. And when they all start poking their heads out in September, we'll be way down the road in our marketing efforts because, because it takes time, right, to build it up.
Consistency. Yeah. I mean, this is even so funny because this is even something I had said. I don't know if Richie's still watching, but it's one of the things I said, like maybe over the summer I'll stop weekend wind down. And, because everyone, Friday afternoons people are off doing, he's like, no, like, don't do that. It's against everything you teach.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's true. I guess I'll keep going, maybe I'll make it earlier, it's more for me, but at the end, this time slot works. And if people can hop on, they hop on. And if they have to watch on replay, but it's true. Summers are not slow for me. It's not, in the coaching world, I don't think there is necessarily a slow period, or at least I haven't hit it. I don't know if you have, but in a lot of industries there are, and it's just time to dig deep and get all those things done that you have not gotten done. Train yourself in something new that you want to maybe become a specialist in, so that you come back in the summer and you have a new niche that nobody else has, or something you've never tried before. This is the time to do that kind of stuff, right?
And that's what you look at professional athletes. That's what they do. In the off season, what do the best do? They train. They don't wait till spring training to say, okay, you know what? I need to get myself, back in shape again. They're training. So by the time they come back, they're coming back at a higher level. So yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Darcy's, was saying that I think it is. And you know what? You can do it with a little glass of wine out by the pool or somewhere. You don't have to be in your office.
That's right. You can still get sun. No, it's true. That's the time where, like, I'm developing a course. So that's what I'm going to be working on all summer.
Yeah. I'm writing a book.
Oh,
even I don't know if I haven't really said too much about it. I've got a book. I've been working on it for a little while, so I will,
me too.
I'll be working
too, but I've been working on it too.
Well, a little bit, like loosely. I've got an outline and so forth. Now it's about sitting down and writing it. I actually have a few books, but things like that. I mean, with my podcast, I'm going to continue to release podcasts twice a week. But I'm not going to be recording. I'm taking July and August off because I have enough guests. We've talked about this, right? I have enough guests. I'm in queue to take me out to September. So I say, okay, well, great. I'm so far ahead. I can take that time, and now I can put it towards writing a book, doing other things. And so, but my podcast is going to continue. I know some people go, oh, I'm going to take a break with my podcast. No, don't take a break. Just get ahead, right? Plan ahead. And I did this last year as well. Last year I took 2 months as a road trip in July and August, had a blast, but I had enough podcasts to be consistent, and of course was still on social media sharing and all those things and made sure that all happened. But it's comes back to mindset. It's all about mindset
and planning.
But the planning comes from having the mindset to even say, okay, how am I thinking about my business? Your business should be, and I know you're really great on this because you've been on my podcast, and it'll be releasing soon in the summertime, actually.
Tell everyone the name of your podcast.
Leaders of Transformation podcast. Yeah.
Leaders of Transformation. I'll be on there soon, so watch for
yes.
social media. But soon or next month, we're not sure.
Yeah, it's I think it's July. July, yes. Yeah, I believe it's July or at beginning of August. But yes, so yours is going to be coming out. But when I say it's about mindset, is that you totally lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, it's a business. We were talking about business systems, building a business system. That's what you do with your clients, and you showed so beautifully, your profit,
Profit puzzle, I think I did.
Profit puzzle and all that, right? And it's like you build a business system, and if people are watching and they're finding their business going up and down like this, it may be the answer is yes, use your summertime, in the time that's quiet, ideally for it not to be quiet, but if it is quiet or whatever season it is that is quieter, to use it to work on your business. But also it's an indication that you need to work on your business systems, right, so that you have a consistency of flow. Because I find that a lot of times business owners, what they do is they go market, deliver, market. My dad calls it Tylenol, no Tylenol, right? So it's this up and down, yeah, feast or famine. And that is an indication that you don't have a good business system. And a system, I mean, ideally, what can you be doing? Having an e-course, teaching and educating people on what you do. That can continue to be selling, that can continue to be generating revenue for you. Maybe even having, like I was talking about, the reoccurring revenue, having revenue models, having that summer season where, there's a transition into the summer season. People are going to be having barbecues and parties at their house and all this stuff. They're going to need decorating, right?
Yeah, right? Some designers love that and some designers hate that. But I actually have a document that I use with my clients that I just developed. I don't know if all of them have seen it yet, but it's kind of like the ladder of services that you actually can provide should you want to. And like you're saying, something you can pull out of your back pocket in a season like this, like seasonal decorating. You can pull out different things, like a kitchen revamp, service, just to give your kitchen a facelift. Not if for people who don't have the full amount of money to do a brand new kitchen. Designer for the day type service where you have me for 6 hours and we get as much done as you can in 6 hours. Like there's different services.
So many things you can do.
So many things you can do. It's a matter of thinking outside the box and having the guts to roll it out. And being okay if sometimes you roll it out and you get crickets. I rolled out a program like 2 years ago when I first started coaching, and I was so excited about it. I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. Everybody needs this, right? I roll it out. It's like nothing. Like
hello, Bueller. Bueller.
Hello. It's a great service. Why doesn't everybody know this? But I just thought, you know what? Let it go, because I tested the market and then I learned now to ask first to see if it's something people are interested in. Right?
Yes.
Or everyone who's listening, everyone who will re-listen, you do have a community, right? You, even if it's your personal Facebook page, your business Facebook page, private messaging people who own homes or need the service you're providing, reach out and ask them.
Yeah.
Would this be of interest to you or anyone you know? Do you think this is a good idea? Because we're all business owners. We don't always know if it's a good idea. We get all hyped up and we think we have the greatest idea ever, right?
Right.
And then you go, yeah, maybe it's not such a good idea, right? So you toss around a couple of options and you see what people want, and then you can develop a program around that. So,
and networking is a great thing to do in the summertime. People are doing barbecues, they're doing cocktail parties. So why not? Why not be that person that actually invites other people, maybe some local business owners in the area? If you do commercial design, right? You want to build those relationships. Well, go out and do that. Do a summerlicious type of thing, and invite them. Yeah, with the wine, right? The cocktails, on a Friday afternoon. But don't miss Nancy's show, of course, after Nancy's show.
After my show. Don't entertain until after my show.
So, but have something like, think about ways that you can be networking during the summertime. Golfing. It's a golf season. A lot of people love golf, right?
Golf?
I don't. Yeah. No,
either.
we don't.
But it was a good idea, though, if you do.
It is a good idea. I have a lot of clients that love to golf. And what I'm saying is if you think about it, golf, they do golf tournaments. If you like to golf, go out there, do some networking, doing some schmoozing, maybe even some of those, and as I said, for those that do commercial, right, you may look at the golf clubs, the country clubs, the people that are having a lot of people through, right? How are they changing it up? And even like spas, one of the clients I was referring to earlier, spas, salons, they need to make it look fresh. Restaurants, it gets boring after a while. So this is where you become versatile, where you have like, let's say residential is a little quiet. I think there's still lots of things to do there, but you also look at, expanding your repertoire. Like you said, your services, some things you may not want to do, fine. Pick and choose. It's a smorgasbord, but there's so many things. And again, it comes back to mindset, because if we believe there's only a few things that we can do, right?
Yeah.
Then that's all we'll see. But if you look at it and say, wow, there's so many options, there's so many ways. I was talking to somebody earlier today who is, she launched her book, and she has been putting it out there she's been out there like crazy. And it's just been still not taking, getting the traction that she needed. And so I just started throwing out ideas, right? What about this? What about that? Who's your audience? Why don't you send your book, right, out to, these key people, right? If you're talking about podcasting, she's doing podcasting, but even, like just different ideas. And that's where even brainstorming. Another idea is getting together with you. You're a coach, right? So you work with interior designers. Sit down with you and say, okay, you know what? I can take the summertime and I'm going to brainstorm. I'm going to brainstorm with Nancy, and I'm going to see what can I be doing to, freshen things up, add new product. Like I believe in terms of our model, there's acquisition of clients, there's retention of clients, and then there are systems. So I've kind of created a model which I use to help people understand. So acquisition is marketing, sales, and delivery, right? Mm-hmm. Retention is your follow-up, your customer service, and your product development. A lot of people are good in the customer service and the follow-up, but what about product development? How do you keep your clients coming back? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it interesting, right? And then, of course, the systems, and so you can look at that model and say, what can I be working on, during this time? But again, mindset is such a big piece of this, because entrepreneurs have a tendency. And this actually goes for entrepreneurs in general, so maybe this will help some of your listeners out there as well. Entrepreneurs have a tendency, especially if you've come from you come from an employee, right? We talked about in the beginning, I have a job, now I'm going to start my own business. What most people are doing when they're starting a business is actually becoming self-employed, right? Self-employed is where you own your own job, right? So it's all you. You work, you get paid. You don't work, you don't get paid. So, right, so there's a mindset there, right? There's a mindset, the security that you're talking about, the healthcare and all that stuff, that's, the employee mindset is being afraid of losing that, right? And it's risky to own a business. I personally think it's more risky to work for someone else, because I have one client then. If I work for one person and I get all my income from one place, what happens if, and they are in control of that, what happens if one day I walk in and they say, thank you very much, bye-bye. I've lost 100% of my income. Sure, I can go on EI, whatever, but, I've lost 100% of my clients. But if I'm in business for myself and I have 10, 15, 20 clients or whatever, however many clients, 5 clients, right? Yeah. And I work one a day with different clients, as an example. Many bookkeepers and accountants do that kind of, then if I lose a client, I only lose 20% of my business. I don't lose all my business. So I actually see it as more risky to work for somebody else than it is to work for myself, because I'm more in control of the outcome. But coming back to what I was saying, so there's the employee, there's the self-employed individual, and then there's building a business system. And a business system is where your business works and you make money whether you're there or not. And that's what I'm saying about how do you build that. And interior designers, you can do that. There's many ways to do that. So again, building a system where you can educate and again, product development, this is part of the product development side of it. So, but the mindset as well, when you have employees, shifting into business ownership, right? Whether that be self-employed or business. A lot of times what I've noticed is, especially recently, because there's a lot of people who are getting into this world of entrepreneurship, is they actually think that their results are determined by how much time they're putting in. And their results are actually based on, right, their performance. Mm-hmm. It's not time, right? So time, because they're used to working 40 hours and getting paid 40 hours. I work, I get paid. I work, I get paid. In a business, you may work, and then you get paid. But if you do it right and you build a business system, what's that?
If you're lucky.
Yeah, and if you build it right and you build a system, then you get to the point where you can work, get paid, work, get paid, work, get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid, and it's a different mindset. And so, as much as we're saying maximize the summer, maximize those periods of time, focus on results, focus on impact. It's not so much about how much time you're putting into your business. There are people that spend more time, get more done in 4 hours a day than people who spend 12 hours a day, right? So it's a mindset to say, okay, what am I looking to create here? And not focusing on, okay, I need to put in the hours, because it's like a badge of honor these days. I hear people saying, it's like, oh, I worked all night long. Well, congratulations. That's not the goal, right?
Right.
Because it's not about putting in overtime.
But you also can't jump the line, meaning you have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
You have to learn the lessons that you learn along the way, right?
It's going to be hard work. Yeah.
It's hard work. It's absolutely hard work. You can't create systems that operate without your intervention until you get to the point where you can do that. And that doesn't.
And if you know the system works, you got to test the system first before you put in this wonderful system.
Right. No matter what you do, you can bring on employees in the beginning or staff that take some of the workload off, so you can do what you do best and be the face of your business and market and be the CEO and figure out your marketing goals and be the one to go out there and do the socializing, both in person and networking and on social media. But at some point, you're going to burn out if you don't end up creating a system that at least operates a little bit without you, right?
Yes.
And as an interior designer, it is a very, very difficult business because they're the creative ones. They're the ones that create the look, the feel, pick all the furnishings and the hard surfaces and design everything. However, when you get to a certain point, you can start having staff, and you are just the creative, and the staff does a lot of the implementing.
Yeah.
Client connection part, and you do the selection part, and you're monitoring to make sure it's a well-oiled machine. But you can't jump from 0 to 180. You definitely have to build it slowly.
Absolutely. That's like any business. But the key is that I find that, I find that some people still, they oftentimes will find themselves if it is to be, it's up to me. I have to do it. Yeah. If I need to get it done right, then I need to do it. And that, what's that?
Control.
It's control. Absolutely. And perceived. Yeah. You think you're in control, but it's that desire to be in control. And it's deceiving. It is deceiving. It's also limiting, right? And those systems, when you I'm a systems person. I know you are too. when you have systems in place, it's amazing how much easier life can get. And again, that's where you can do, I'm always asking myself, and I'm always looking with my clients and saying, how can we have you do more in less time?
Definitely.
I can do more in less time. You get those systems down pat. Yes, it's the same process. I worked with a contractor, and he used to do quotes that would take him 3 hours to do quotes. And he had 16 quotes sitting there that he hadn't gotten to. And at one point it was up to 23. And I'm like, what is going on with these quotes, right? And he's like, oh no, everyone's different and so forth. I said, they're all houses. Okay, they all got a kitchen, they all got a bathroom. Let's look at the lowest common denominator. Like, what are the common things about every single one of your projects? They all have these different, okay, so now how can we create a checklist, right? How can we do this? And we took his 3-hour quote time down to 20 minutes by just creating a template. Now, all that's right. So then it's not about time, how much time you put in. It's like, oh, I got this badge of honor. I work 105 hours, which he worked 105 hours a week.
Oh, yeah,
I'm like, dude, that is not the goal here. The goal is outcome.
right.
And so how do we get you the outcome? And in some cases, it might be something for some of your listeners to consider, is that they may not be the best person to do that particular certain functions. Hire somebody that will do it better and faster and relieve you so that you can focus on the things that you do best. So you can focus on your genius in your business. Now, it takes time, but again, looking at that vision, looking at what am I creating here, so you don't get stuck, right? You don't get stuck doing the same thing over and over again every year. And yeah.
You have to have a system in place, right?
Yes.
I mean, and listen, I have definitely hired people before I've had a system in place. So that's in the ideal world, have your system in place, then hire someone, hand it over, and everything's going to run smoothly, right? That's what.
Sometimes you need somebody to actually create that system for you because you don't know how to create that system.
Exactly. You know, you can just hire people for everything. But at the same time, even to me, you can do it either way. Hire the person, create the system together that's going to be successful, that then they're going to be able to be successful in taking that off your plate. Or create the system that you know needs to be done, and then you're ready to hand it off to somebody and say, this is what I need you to do. And when you're interviewing people, you have a very clear understanding of what that person's going to need to do. But I always do feel, as the owner, I sort of have to at least understand it at the high level.
Yes.
I never want to hire a company that says, oh, they're a marketing company. Can you just market my business? And I've seen it happen over and over again. People, my clients have said to me, I hired a marketing company, but they're just not doing it. It's just not working. I'm like, well, what exactly are they doing? I don't know. They were the experts and they just said they would get me clients. And I'm like, oh my God, like you need to understand your business, how to market your business, how to run your business before you hand it off to somebody.
Yes.
Right.
This goes for legal, this goes for accounting, this goes for anything. You need to have enough of a working knowledge. I call it you need to have a working knowledge about it. Then you will know which marketing company to hire. Like if you let somebody and say, oh, you're good in social media, awesome, do my social media. And if you don't know anything about social media, then you won't know. And you know what? You might get raked over the coals because there's a lot of people out there who say that they're really good in social media and have 3 followers, you know, and I'm using exaggeration, but it's true. Right. And so I've had people say, oh, I like my profile private. You're in social media. Don't give me that. Right. So, because I'm going to look at what they're doing to see how well they know how to do it. So yes, you need to have a working knowledge of it. And you don't need to love it, but you just need to understand it. It's the same thing with legal. You need to understand certain things so that your accountant, you need to understand math. I know a lot of times creatives, they say, I don't understand math. I'm no good with math. Yeah. Well, get good at it. It's worth it, right? Learn it enough that you can understand the numbers, right? And you can understand the basics. And you know what, I know we've been talking about a bunch of different things, but you know, when it comes to this, it's thinking about it like there's money coming in, there's money going out, and then there's the gap in between of when it comes in and when it goes out, right? It's the cash gap. So, you know, looking at that and saying, okay, how much is coming in? How much is going out? When is that all happening? So like because it's important for cash flow purposes to understand that. And then, you know, and then you can build from there. And then you can have somebody who does your books and so forth, right? So things like this. Yeah, then you have, I'm hearing myself echoing. I'm not sure if that's.
Are you? That happens sometimes with this program. Let me lower the volume a little bit on my end. But we're both wearing headsets, so it usually doesn't happen. But
okay. So anyway, so it's you know, entrepreneurship is fun. There's a lot to learn. And again, coming back to mindset, is that it's having the mindset to believe and know. And I think you might have said this even on my podcast as well when we were interviewing you, is that to know that at least you can figure it out. You may not know everything, but at least you know you can figure it out. you can learn it.
Yeah, and really, let me just mention,
Nice.
so Heather's first thing I'm doing for summer is getting new headshots and fun marketing shots. Yes, it's called lifestyle shots, Heather.
Yeah.
They're getting some lifestyle shots. Do you have lifestyle shots?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I'm not a huge photo taker, selfie person,
I know, me
but
neither. But
yeah,
I've had to learn a little bit
a little bit.
to.
Yeah. My husband and I, it's funny, we go out and we don't even think about it. All of a sudden, it's like, that would have been a great photo op. I met Jocelyn Duffy, who was on my podcast. She flew in from Canada, and she was in Southern California here. And so I drove to meet her, and we laughed. We're like, we had this great time and everything. And afterwards, we're like,
you didn't take one
yeah,
picture?
we should have taken a picture.
It is so hard. It doesn't come naturally to me. My boyfriend's a big picture taker. He's a big, just posts his whole life on social media kind of guy. But I went to see one of my clients the other day. I don't know if she's still on. I was in the city, and I thought, let me go. And right before I was leaving, I'm like, wait, we need to take a picture, like proof that I was here. But it's very hard to remember that we have to take these moments being entrepreneurs, being visible,
Yes.
doing different things so people can relate to us and see
Yes.
what we're doing and follow us is important. But it's
Yes.
it is really hard to make the shift.
Yeah.
I may do it and people might think it comes easy to me, but it really doesn't.
Yeah. It's intention. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And summertime is a great time to do it, Heather, because it's nice weather and nothing like putting a parka on there and saying, "Hey, we're having fun here in the snow." I come from Canada, so I know what that's like. It's like I'm freezing right now. But
I live here in New York, and I had my house up for sale, and it didn't sell. And then my son came home from college, and I thought, maybe I'm not ready to leave yet. Maybe this happened for a reason. So I ended up taking it off the market, and I'm like, I'm going to be here for a little while longer. I don't know if you remember from when you did your podcast, I had a different background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I moved out of the room that had the carpet on the walls when I was art framing and accessories, my past business. And I moved into the showroom side. So I had some accessories
Very nice.
left. So thank you. So I had some accessories left. So I put myself in the corner of this big showroom. And I thought, this is where I'll stay since I'm going to be in the house for a little while longer. I couldn't stand the dark room anymore. And even though I have these big lights in front of me, I couldn't stand it anymore. So I thought, you know what? Make your environment pleasant when you work from home.
Yes.
You want to make whatever makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
You need to.
I love brightness. I think I like to have, it's nice to, for me, like it's nice to be, with nice decorations and so forth. To me, I like to be outdoors. I like to be by a window. I like to, be, and so actually I have a patio where it's partially has an overhang, and there's a glass table out there, so I can sit out there when it's nice, which it mostly is because it's San Diego, so it's awesome. So I'll sit out there and work there, or I'll sit down, go by the pool or something like that, and that's what I love. But yes, to your point about environment is so important. It's who's in your environment. It's what's in your environment. That's why you're in the business of designing and decorating. It's better look nice, right? That's why people hire you, because otherwise, yeah.
I totally got abused for it. When you primarily I coach interior designers, other creative entrepreneurs. I do have some coaches, web designers, branding specialists, but the designers, I got a couple of private messages, not just one, but a couple that said, your background is really distracting. And I'm like, all right, I know you're all designers, but this is the best I can do right now. And here's a lesson in what's not going to stop me from growing my business, regardless of its imperfection.
Now, are they talking about this current background or the old one?
It was the old one. The other one. Okay, we gave Heather an idea. That's what my new opt-in will be about. What, Heather? What did we give you an idea? About the background when you're doing Facebook Lives, or where you work? I'm not sure which one.
But actually that would be really good, is talking about the importance of environment and how you feel, right? I mean, you get locked in a closet somewhere, are you going to be very effective? Some people might be. I'll be like claustrophobic wanting to get out of there. I don't care if it's still a desk and a computer, but if it's stuck in a hole in the dungeon or in a basement, I would never live in the basement. And that's just me. And I know that I love living by water. Yeah. So in Toronto, I lived close to the water. No matter where I was in and around the GTA, I always lived somewhere close to water. And now being in California, I live close to water. At one point, my husband and I were talking about moving to Vegas, and I'm like, where is there water? Is there
love Vegas.
Vegas is nice, but you know what? I found there's a little lake there, right? Lake Mead. I'm like, okay, we need to be close, because I know for myself that for me to, and maybe it's those signs of, I'm an earth sign or whatever the heck that stuff is, and it's like, I don't know. I like to be by water. So everybody's got certain preferences in the environment that works best for them. And even in stress environments and people, who you associating with, the team you're building. I know one of the things I do is teach. What's that?
That is so huge. The people you surround yourself with is just tremendously important. And I talk about this all the time. I mean, listen, some people have family members who are just very negative, subtly sabotaging without them even realize they're doing it. And you can't necessarily break ties completely with people because they have so many other wonderful values. But at the same time, recognizing it is half the battle.
Yeah, and it's letting it roll off, rather than taking it in and allowing. And some people are very empathic and very absorbent, right? Like where they take in all those energies from other people. And if that's the type of person that you are, and a lot of creatives are, then you also, if you're going to go spend time and have a family outing and that Uncle Louie is going to be there and he's going to go, wah, 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 whatever, or your aunt so-and-so is going to be, complaining and talking bad about everybody or whatever. We all have people like that, either in our families or
it could be
brother or sister, it could be anybody, mother, father.
It could be a child. It could be a parent, right?
It could be anybody. Yeah. So recognizing that's, like you said, you recognize it, become aware of it, and then you can just realize and just let it go. So I'm a big believer in just letting it go. And also realizing that when people are saying things, it's coming from one of my mentors. He said, people don't do things to you, they do things for themselves. So they're not trying to annoy. At one point, I thought my dad was trying to annoy me. Like I thought he woke up when I was a little kid. I actually thought his whole goal in life was to drive me crazy because he did such a good job. And then I read this book on personalities, and I realized that it was his personality and my personality that was clashing. And it just opened up a whole new perspective for me. And then later on, I went on to be certified in teaching the DISC, a model of human behavior, and understanding different personalities. And every personality type thrives in a specific environment. That's why I was starting to talk about that when with the environment. It made me think of it, is because your environment is so important. One of my other mentors, he said, environment is greater than will. You can have the will to work hard. You can have the will to get, things done or be positive, whatever. But if your environment is incongruent with who you are and doesn't work for you, then, it's going to sap your energy. My husband, when he came to Canada for a while when we got married, he came, and we knew we wanted to come to, he was living in San Diego at the time, and came from Oregon. It rained there all the time, and so he was like, enough of that. Came down to San Diego, loved the weather. Then we got married. He came to Canada, and so I'm a good salesperson, so I actually got him to come to Canada, and it was January. So he gets off we get off the plane, and it's minus 22, and he's like, what am I doing? So he hated the environment because it was cold, because he said the energy was different. And it's a different energy in Toronto than it is in San Diego. Or Southern California. And he got clear that he knew this is where he thrives. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately we ended up coming back here. And then me being here for a period of time, I realized, wow, you know what? I do thrive better here than I do back in Toronto. And yeah, you can mind over matter, and ignore the environment and overcome situations or whatever. But why do that when you have certain things, like if it's geographic, you might need to live in a place because that's where you live, right? And it might be cold certain parts, times of the year. But when you're looking at what your environment is around you, do like make sure, and again, people, it's all about a choice. I think that people, we think that we don't have a choice.
Yes.
I have people in my life. I mean, I coach just like you, and some people have a lot of challenges, and I'm actually helping them through major crises in their life. So, but I can balance that out. I don't spend every day working with people that are going through crisis, because that would start to drain me, and then I would lack the effectiveness over time.
Right.
And so I balance it, and I choose who I want to be with. And sometimes you got to say no. As an entrepreneur, your friends sometimes want to hang out and, hey, let's go for coffee. You're not working, you don't have that job anymore. Let's go for coffee and hang out. And, and you're like, I actually do have a job. It's, my job is getting this business off the ground. So
sometimes, we talk to people all day long, and sometimes we need to take a break too
yes,
be with ourselves, because
yes.
I know some days I'm on the phone for 8 hours, other days I'm not on the phone at all. It really, it goes up and down depending on when my clients schedule their appointments and when I have my groups going. But taking care of yourself with your environment, understanding who you are. And I love what you said about where you may thrive location wise, and being so comfortable where we are. I can't tell you how many friends I have who are like, really, you want to move? And I'm like, you know what? I love New York. This is where I grew up. This is where I raised my kids. So many things I love about it. But now I feel like it does start to drain my energy in the winters. So I'm not a snowbird kind of person, don't have enough money to go back and forth and have two homes, but I do want to move to a warmer climate in a different energy pace than where I raised my kids.
Actually, it's interesting, because even with that, is sometimes the change of scenery is enough. Just going somewhere different, it's the change of energy. It also expands us right out of our comfort zone, where things are familiar, and now we have to discover new, even like we have discovered new stores to go to, and where this is and where that is, and meet new people and neighbors and all this.
Routines.
Do different routines, different networking events, different environment. And I do believe that it is good to do that on a regular basis. And and maybe it is a huge shift where you actually move across the country or into a different country. Maybe it's just moving down the street, so to speak.
Moving to a new office.
Moving to a new office.
Right. I just went from one room to another, and I feel totally different.
Exactly. And this is also for your listeners and your clients who are interior designers. This is where they come in. It's like, how can you help people to change up their environment on a regular basis? 4 times a year. If they change it up and change the colors and make it more fall-like, or winter wonderland, whatever, or maybe make it nice in the winter so they don't feel like they're sitting in the cold, when you're up
suffering from the blues or the blahs. Sometimes changing a couple of things in a room, brighten it up, bring in some nature, whatever you need to do to change the flow of the energy and the feeling could actually do the trick for somebody in certain seasons, for sure. So
it doesn't have to be major.
We've spoken an hour already.
Has it been an hour? It has been. We could probably talk for another hour.
I know, but
easily.
I felt like this on your podcast too. Right? Didn't we stay on the phone for another half an hour after?
Yeah, I think we did.
So, well,
it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Really
great. No, I think this is a good conversation. One that so many people need. You know what? It's an overused term, but yet I use it constantly because it's really true that it is so much about your mindset. But there are things you can do in your environment and in the action that you take and in the plans that you make in order to get your energy up and do what you have to do. And I always say, walk through the pain. It's painful to grow a business. It's painful sometimes to be a parent. It's painful just sometimes to be a human. But if you walk through the pain and keep going towards your goals, the sky is the limit.
Yes.
It really is. So tell
Awesome.
everyone where they can find you.
Sure. So my website is discovertheedge.com, and you can find me there. My podcast is the Leaders of Transformation podcast, and that's all over, that's
Great.
iTunes. Yeah, all the different podcast arenas. And and I'm happy to answer any questions. If people have questions, they can always reach out to me. My email is njansen@discovertheedge.com. On the website, actually, there's a neat little document that might help some of your listeners. It's called Purpose to Profits Blueprint, and it's 5 steps to take your purpose and transform it into a profitable business. And I think it will be complementary to what it is that you're doing. I mean, you've got an amazing, I love that profit puzzle. Yeah. Catchy term, but the profit puzzle. So it's complementary to that, but it also includes that model I was talking about earlier about the acquisition, retention, and systems, and just seeing a business in that way. But yeah, so awesome. I'm happy to serve.
Make sure you go back in and put all your links in
the
comments.
I will do that.
Okay. So yeah. I have a feeling you and I will talk again.
I'm sure we will.
And I'm in your group, so I'll try to stay active in there. So thank you so much for being my guest today. And thanks, guys, who are here. I know it's a beautiful summer day here in New York, and a lot of people will be watching on replay. So if you're watching on replay, make sure you check out Nicole's site, and she'll put all the links in the comments. So have a great night. Friday night, I'm going to listen to music soon.
Nice. Have fun.
Okay, thanks. Bye, guys.
Right, thanks. Bye-bye.